Hey, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Benton. Thanks so much for joining me today. I had a handful of experiences this week, each one teaching me something small but significant. And the way that these three things resonated with me, I just wanted to share them with you because even if one of them shifts you to move you towards action or more results or more productive effort, I want to share that. So the first was this. I want a garden. We've had raised beds before, and we've kind of dabbled in garden boxes and things like that. But we have this area of our property. Our property used to be a working farm. And we have this area of our property where there was a lot of rows of grapes. And I don't like the grapes. We don't use the grapes. There tends to be a lot of overgrowth there. So we dug it up. And that's where I want to put a nice garden. One of the things I'm really working on is incorporating more activities that I find enjoyable and relaxing that I can either do by myself or with my kids. And gardening is one of them. But here's the thing. I don't know anything about gardening, like nothing. I have been pretty unsuccessful in my past attempts to garden. And to be honest, I kind of don't even really know where to start. I know that it gets good sun. I know that the soil drains well, but beyond that, in terms of should we do raised beds? Should we plant in the ground? What kind of fencing should we use? Should there be a top to keep the birds from getting in? All of those different things. Why am I telling you this? Because I recognized that one of the things that has kept me from doing this prior to now is this sense that I don't have all the answers. I don't know what to do. I have more questions than I have answers, and I don't know if it will be successful. And as I thought about that, I was like, that is what keeps so many people from losing weight or getting fit or starting a business or getting out of debt. This sense that I don't really know all I need to know, but you don't need to start. And what it made me think of, if you followed my podcast for any period of time, we have almost 2,000 episodes there. You heard me tell this story of this guy who was upside down in his truck, not literally upside down, but upside down in the sense that he owed more than it was worth. And he wanted to sell the truck, but he didn't know how. He didn't know if it was going to be possible, given that he was upside down. He owed more than it was worth. But he did know that the first thing he'd have to do if he wanted to sell the truck was clean it. And after he cleaned it, he was like, okay, cool. I know how to clean the truck. I can go clean the truck. And after that, like, well, whether I can or whether I can, I would need pictures of it. So he cleans the truck and then he takes pictures of the trucks and he continued that way until he eventually sold it. Just, well, I guess I'd have to do this next. And I guess I'd have to talk to somebody about selling it and pricing it. And I'm taking the same approach with my garden. I don't know how to garden. I don't know what works best in my area and planting timelines and seeds versus starter plants and all. I don't know. But I can always take a next step. And the very best teacher is going to be experience, right? I can say, let's have it be this size. I can price out materials. I can use ChatGPT to say, hey, this is where I live and this is what I want to plant. Give me some tips. Give me some best practices. Talk to me about seeds versus starter plants. I can always take the next step. So if you are somewhere in your life and you're like, gosh, I just don't know what I need to know, or I have more questions than I have answers, or I don't know if I'm going to be good at it and I don't know if it's going to work, do it anyway, because you can always take just one next step. And the very best teacher is going to be your own experience. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, and I'm going to talk about this on the podcast here soon. I recently pulled my guitar out of storage. It's been in storage for at least 5 years, probably closer to 6 years, because I think I was pregnant with my daughter Dagny when I put it in storage. And I pulled it out, kind of two parts to this story. I've been wanting to pick up the guitar again for a long time, but I just keep saying I don't have time. Like, when am I going to do it? I already feel like I'm stretched thin between my nonprofit foundation and my work and my children and other things that I do, get into the gym and things like that. But what I realized is if my son wants to start jujitsu in the fall, hour and a half a week, I'm not going to look at him and say, Mom doesn't have time. So if there's going to be an hour and a half for Roman to take jujitsu in the fall, there's an hour now for me to learn guitar. There's absolutely 5 minutes a day for me to practice guitar in my bedroom. Absolutely. No doubt about it. So that's one thing, where are we willing to make time for others, but maybe not willing to make time for ourselves? And if the time would exist for somebody else, then the time exists for you. But more than that, so I get the guitar out of storage. My mom's husband is kind enough to replace the strings for me. I tune it, start to play. I'm not even 30 seconds in, and I'm like, I'm terrible. I'm so bad at this. My fingers hurt. If you haven't ever played the guitar or a string instrument, you kind of have to develop calluses on the tips of your fingers because it hurts, not the strumming, but the working the frets. Not even 30 seconds in, and my fingers hurt. And I'm thinking it's hard, and I'm questioning if I can even do it. I'm so far from being good. But what I know is if I give it even 5 minutes a day, I will be in a dramatically different spot after just 30 days. But if I don't give it 5 minutes a day, and if I stop when it feels hard and I don't push past that and I don't show some tenacity and commitment, it's never going to get easier. It's never easier to quit than when it feels hard, than when you're new, than when you're not good, than when you're still trying to figure things out. But we have to rally some sense of, I got to get through this part. This is the hard part. I got to get through this part. And the only way through this part is effort and consistency and commitment. Now, the other part of this, I guess there's 3 parts to this. I initially thought I'm going to teach myself essentially. It's 2025. There's endless lessons online. I can do it in the comfort of my own home. That's going to make it less of a time commitment, less time away from my family. And I changed my mind. And here's why. Back when I was doing CrossFit regularly, going to a CrossFit gym 6 days a week, there was this one period of time where after my CrossFit class, I would always stay late and work on my double unders. And I did this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Finally, my coach came up to me and he was like, hey, I love the effort. I'm proud of you, but I'm watching you and your form is messed up. So all of this time practicing on your own, you're just getting better at not doing it right. But if you were to have a coach in this, if you were to say, hey, Coach so-and-so, will you spend 5 minutes with me after class and just watch me and give me one pointer? Doesn't have to be an hour. You would get better way faster because you don't know what you don't know and you can't see what you can't see. And the same thing is true with the guitar. So specifically, my hands are small. I have small hands, I have short fingers, and a lot of times it's like I don't have the dexterity yet to have my fingers where they need to go and to move them where they need to move. Now, if somebody who has expertise and experience is watching, they could say, hey, you need to shift the way you're holding a guitar, and hey, that just got 50% easier. Or actually, if you curve your wrist like this, if you move your fingers like this, if you shift the way you're sitting like this, all of a sudden it gets easier. But that comes from a voice of experience and expertise that I don't have. And so it's just an investment in getting better faster instead of in practicing the wrong way to have a coach. And I know that that is true outside of the guitar and outside of business and outside of finance. It's true everywhere. So that's the guitar. You have the garden, the guitar, and the rugby banquet. If you've been around for a while, you've probably heard me talk about how my husband plays rugby. I actually played rugby in college a little bit, and my husband had never played rugby. A couple of years ago, I saw one of our local gyms promoting a men's rugby team, and I said to my husband, hey, you should go try it out. If I could go back in time, I'm not sure I would pass along that suggestion again. Rugby is a very time-consuming hobby. Anyway, he had his team's gala banquet this past weekend. I hate social events and I didn't want to go, but I went. And I'm glad I went because after the schmoozing and the super mediocre dinner, the coach got up to give some awards and gave a little speech, and Chris got an award. So I'm glad that I was there for that. But one of the things he said was that when this coach came into this rugby program, most of the guys treated it like a club. And it was much more of an unstructured social thing than a competitive team with with structure and goals and discipline and work ethic. And so their results kind of showed that they sucked. They were at the bottom of their league. They weren't very competitive. But some new guys came into the team and they didn't like losing. They wanted championship results, but they were bringing club level discipline, club level work ethic. And so they had club level results. And it had to shift. They had to hold themselves accountable to going to practice instead of having these very poorly attended practices. They had to really work at practice instead of just goofing off and playing around, kind of like a game of pickup ball. And they had to train outside of practice. They had to take their own fitness seriously. They had to take their recovery seriously. They had to learn about the game. They had to build camaraderie. They started training on the weekends as well as during the week. Not surprisingly, they started winning and they got way better. And it had me thinking, so many of us want champion level results. We want champion level results in our business, but we have club-like work ethic, right? Pick up basketball, show up when you can. It's not that serious. Shoot around, get bored, go home. We have that kind of work ethic, but we want championship level results. We want competitive player results. We want to lose weight. We want to be healthy, but we have club ball work ethic. You know, we do it when we're motivated and when there's nothing going on. But hey, if there's a social event, like, well, you know what? I'm not kind of into this discipline anymore. I'm not into this structure anymore. I'm not into these standards anymore. And then we're mad that we lost, that we didn't get the results that we wanted, that we didn't come out on top. So I want to challenge you to think about, where do you have club level work ethic and you want champion level results? Where are you trying to learn on your own? And maybe you're working hard, practicing the wrong way, getting better at doing it wrong, or doing it in a way that doesn't get results. And lastly, where are you staying on the sidelines because you don't have all the answers, thinking that you need to figure it out before you get started, when the truth is the best way to learn is by being in it and doing the work and having the commitment that I'm going to figure it out and learn as I go. I don't need to know it all ahead of time. And I'm going to make mistakes. And I'm going to be in a better position a year from now than I am now because I'm going to have more experience, not because I'm going to have more data. So I hope you're enjoying these episodes. I am committed to getting 100 episodes under my belt on YouTube. We're going live very soon, hopefully within the next week. That is my expectation, within the next week. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and also turn on notifications, because when we have our first live show, I'd love to have you there. I'd love to have you communicating and engaging with me when we're live. I'll be turning it into a live call-in show not long after we go live. So lots of fun stuff coming. Thanks for being here. Make sure to tune into the podcast. But for now, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.